This week, we are featuring some of our greatest hits, the best of the WRAL Daily Download.
Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Debra Morgan. Today's deep dive conversation is with one of the Triangle's most interesting and recognizable people. And depending on where your ACC allegiances lie, you may have very strong feelings about him, one way or the other. I'm talking about former Duke men's basketball coach Mike Krzyzewski. Here's part one of our in-depth conversation about his life after the court, recorded earlier in January.
Coach, thank you so much
You're welcome.
for this time. It's so great to see you.
Thank you.
You look very happy and healthy. If you can say one thing, what is the one thing that you're enjoying most about not coaching?
Yeah, I think the mind space that you have where you can, as a leader, whether you're a coach or a leader of an organization, you're always thinking of plans that you're doing, stuff that's going on right now in the future, that your people and whatever, and you really aren't thinking about you. You're thinking about taking care of everyone. And now, for me, it's about me and my family, and it's very good. It's kind of new. The first time that happened, we were at St. Mary's graduation. Carly, one of my granddaughters, was graduating last spring, and a beautiful ceremony on a Sunday morning, and we're out there, and 8 of our grandchildren were sitting in front of us, and it was beautiful. And sometimes graduations can go long and whatever, but it was beautiful. And on the way back, I'm driving with Mickey, my wife, and I said, I was really good. And I said, something happened to me during the event that was weird. He said, what was that? I said, I was only thinking of the event.
Being present.
Yes.
You can be present now.
And I have so much to be present for or with my 10 grandkids, my 3 daughters and their family, and so many of the friends and people that we've become so close with.
One of my favorite memories is coming in here probably 20 years ago. You were kind enough to sign a book for Father's Day for my dad. And I remember seeing just grandkids running everywhere. I think Michael was about that high. And I know how important family is to you. And they live very close to you, right? So,
right.
I mean, now you're really able to be connected. Yeah. They've always been a part, I feel like, of your basketball career. I mean, certainly Mickey by your side, your girls in the stands screaming, and for the biggest fans of Duke. And so now to have that time with them must be really special.
It is. We love Duke. We love Durham and North Carolina. This has been an amazing place to raise our family. And all 3 of our daughters' families are here within 10 minutes of us. One family lives 7/10 of a mile away, and so that's unusual. We're very, very lucky to have that, and as a result, you're never. You always have an activity that you could go to. I have 4 grandsons playing basketball, one doing ninja. People, my granddaughters are in Montessori school. There's always some activity going on, and it's really close. And they become close. Where sometimes, I got a cousin in New York, or no, I got a cousin right here.
Yeah.
I'm spending the night with my cousin. That kind of stuff.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, a lot of families don't have that. That's for
sure. They
do
not. Yeah. We're very fortunate.
So, how much do you revere the role of Grandpa? Or is that what they call you?
You can't say Grandpa. You got to say Poppy.
Poppy. Okay.
Yeah. And no, I love it. Actually, I'm getting to spend more quality time with some of them than I did with my own daughters because of the demands, especially early on, of trying to build a program and everything. So I really like it. I'll call them. Yesterday I watched 2 of my grandsons in 2 different games in middle school basketball. We were all there as a family. And then last night I called each one of them. I said, Rem, you're really driving the ball well, and asked them about stuff. And then John David, I said, I cannot believe you dribble so well because you spend all your time jumping around doing ninja. How the heck do you control that ball more? So I like the fact that we have those relationships.
Do they ask for your advice playing basketball?
A little bit, yeah. And my daughters asked me to tell them, and I said, just cool it. I don't want to be this overbearing guy, but I'll goof with them a little bit. Or if they're at our house, I'd say, Quinn, I was watching you on defense. I don't know why you have your hands up here. You should have your hands down here. Does that make sense? And then I might show them some footwork and make them look clumsy and say, look, I'm 75. I don't look clumsy in that one thing. Think of how good you would look. So stuff like that, but to do it more lighthearted. And I find, even when I coached, people think of us just yelling at our guys and that, but humor plays a big part of teaching, but also of developing a relationship. And I want that to be kind of a central thing, with the grandkids.
Humor like good ribbing?
Yeah, to rib one another, or you tell a story. We're trying to get one of my grandkids to eat more, and so I said, are you getting tired of people telling you, to eat? He said, yes, Poppy. And I said, you know what? I'm one of those people, and I'm getting tired of telling you that. And I said, so if you have 2 people getting tired of the same thing, it means we should make each other not tired. Does that make sense? And he said, I think it does. I think it does. But we'll see if that makes them start eating.
Now, as a parent, as a grandparent, what advice as Coach K would you give to parents and grandparents out there who want their children to be the next star at Duke?
Yeah, well, just the youngster has to have fun in whatever he or she is doing, and they should do more than one thing. Even in sport, don't just play one sport as you're young. Do a bunch of different things. Like in the NBA now, there's so many international players. Soccer for them was a big thing. Their footwork is amazing, and their movement, because in soccer you have to run, but you use your feet, and track is a good thing. Sometimes cross country, but also to learn what it is to be maybe really good in one sport and okay in another, where you might not start, but you learn to be a contributor, and you learn what sport is about. And I think you got to be careful not to have tunnel vision too early. And then when you watch your youngster play, look, they're going to make mistakes, man. And don't over criticize them. Like talk to them about it, and don't always ask them how many points you scored, or did you win? Did you have fun? Did you play hard? Tell me if you thought you played hard. What did you like about what you did? Here's a couple things I liked, and here's one thing I thought you could improve on. And so it's a conversation, and you can develop a relationship. Don't attach your ego into what your kid is doing. That's a big mistake.
And it's not all about putting them in the backyard with a ball and hoop and just telling them to keep shooting.
No, it's not. Although some of that is good too, because I think a big thing in my development and the development of players is a thing called imagination. And sometimes when you're just playing games and doing that, you don't imagine. I like the fact one of my grandchildren, Rem, spends a lot of time and he fantasizes games in what he's doing, and there's a crowd and whatever, and I love that. I think imagination is a key component, and you have to be alone with your imagination and have your imagination be your friend. We end up eventually being what we think about ourselves most. And so when I say imagination, you're successful in your imagination. I'm not talking about dreaming now. I'm talking about imagination. And so you can actually develop a little bit more self-esteem by doing that, and then try to put that into action when you are actually, with your group. I call it mental reps. I do it still today. When I speak, I do a lot of public speaking. I don't use notes, and I'll get my thoughts together. I'll imagine myself on a stage, and getting a big applause and all that. And it's a good. It's really an amazing thing.
I feel like we used to do that as kids a lot.
Yeah.
But now there are a lot of distractions for children to not use their own imagination, but rather, they're on video games or watching TV or doing other things.
Well, the other thing with that, Debra, is you don't just have kids go to a playground and make up their own games. There's always a parent saying, you're on this team, you're on that team. And I'm not saying all that's wrong, but I know when we grew up, we didn't have parents around. And we'd say, we got 8 guys, we're going to do this game right now. What do you mean? No, let's do this game. And let's choose sides. We're going to play up to 11. You were in control. You learned leadership. You learned how to imagine. Like, we got 9 guys now where you're going to be the automatic pitcher. I don't want to be the automatic pitcher. I was that last time. I said, you were really good at automatic pitcher. That might be a role that you have from right now. But it was the camaraderie that I've had with my buddies from the schoolyard is still there today. And a lot of it had to do with all the time that we spent with one another.
And the teamwork that you learned too.
Teamwork and we, some people say, how did you're a leader, and my buddy Mo would say, well, I was Mick then. Mick was that when we were 8, 9 years old, and I wasn't always, I was the best player in basketball, but I wasn't the best player in football or baseball. I was good, but not, and so I'm going to pick Danny Cush if I'm playing baseball, because he could hit the hell out of the ball. And I'm going to pick another one of my guys, ahead of me in football, because he catches everything. And I don't know, there was no jealousies or anything. You just, hey, how can we have the best time together?
We'll be right back with more of my conversation with Coach K. Welcome back to the WRAL Daily Download as I continue my conversation with former Duke men's basketball coach Mike Krzyzewski.
So I asked you what is good about not coaching anymore.
Yeah.
What is bad about not coaching anymore?
Yeah, really, there hasn't been anything bad. I'm being honest, I do not miss coaching. That doesn't mean I don't love the game, because in order to coach, you have to prepare. And the amount of, I was an ultimate preparer. I felt I needed to really prepare, and that consumes time. And in order, I say to a lot of people, I've loved what I've done my whole life, in order to do what you love, you don't always do everything that you love. And the amount of time for preparation and recruiting and the frequency of all that, time's precious, especially as you get older. I want to make better use of my time for me and my family. So I really do not miss it at all. I'm obviously pulling for Duke. John Shire and I have a great relationship, and he's got to do his thing, and I need to be out of the way to allow him to do that.
Duke's out of the top 25 right now. It doesn't pull you back in at all, saying, "Oh, I want to go in and fix something"? They still have a great record. But.
Yeah, no, we've been out of the top 25 when I coached too, and basically a team right now in January is in the middle of the race. Mm-hmm. The really important part of the race is coming up, especially in February, and you want to be in good enough position by the time you get there, so you're not just sprinting, to get to the finish line. But it's a process, and when you have we always have young teams now. Sometimes a big win, a tough loss, that helps you mature, grow. It depends on how you use it, and I know John and his staff are using it well.
How proud are you to see your former players now in head coaching?
Yeah, no, when I started coaching, I did it because I love the game and I just love coaching. I never imagined how good it would be to have my former players as friends, and for them to have families and kids, and then so many of them would go into coaching. Obviously, when a guy went into the pros, you followed them in the pros, but a lot of guys didn't go into the pros. And then a number of them wanted to be coaches. And almost 30 years ago, we just started saying, okay, any assistant I have will be one of my players. They've all been one of my captains. The only stipulation I ask from them is that they don't come wanting to be an assistant coach. I want them to have the dream of being a head coach. And once they say that, then I know they're going to try to learn everything. They're not just going to use it as a transition from going from playing into whatever they want to do.
Do you see them growing as players and then therefore as coaches too? And that leadership that you've taught them as a player then comes out as a coach?
Yeah, you see them growing as people. They're really, they're boys, when they come here. They're young men, but real young men. And then you see them develop, and you have to give them opportunities to develop. The guys who are coaching pretty much are more from not the one and done era, because it's pretty tough to get into coaching if you left after 1 year, because you're going to be probably a really good player. An exception to that would be Emil Jefferson. He was here for 5 years because of an injury. And we were fortunate to get him in his late 20s, because he could still be playing either in Europe or he'd still have a chance in the NBA. We were lucky to get John Shire that way. John had a horrible injury occur to him right after he graduated, which cut his playing career short. And so I think he was 25 when he came here. Nolan Smith was the same way, and so that's unusual. But most of the guys were here for multiple. In fact, all the guys were here for multiple years, and all of them were graduates of Duke. So they knew Duke, they knew me, and they had institutional memory before they ever even started working.
Yeah. Some of that you can't teach. You just
No,
have to know it.
And I don't. They have a better feel for what it is to be a student here than I do. And the other thing, Deborah, they're more current. They're younger, So for me, that's something I had to try to keep learning to stay current. I kept getting older, and the group I had to coach was the same age. How do you communicate with them? How do you
Their
coach
music
them?
changed.
You know,
you
music.
came out dancing to some music. I
Yeah.
remember after one national
Well,
championship.
that's usually after we win. There's not much dancing after we lose, but no, and even to try to dress a little bit more, not like I'm not knocking all 70-year-olds, but not many have a Nike contract where they get a nice sweater, they got Air Force Ones or Air Maxes or whatever it is, and it's not just what you say, but you have to kind of look the part. That doesn't, you'll never look as athletic as those guys or as handsome and whatever, but you can talk and look today in their world, without going nuts about that.
Have you been to a game in Cameron?
I have not been to a game in Cameron. I've watched every game. We're in my office. I've watched some of the games in here. In fact, I've used a couple of the games for fundraisers for the Emily Krzyzewski Center, which has raised, anyway, we have 6 viewings in here that will raise like about $400,000. And one big viewing, when I host a wine celebration for the V Foundation in Napa, we've done it for 16 years, they have auction items, and one of the auction items was a weekend at Duke and a wine dinner and watch the game, and $150,000 twice. So, if we can, I'd rather do that. But when I watch the game, I watch the game. I take notes.
Do you?
Not to tell John, like, with 3:22 left in the first half, boy, you really screwed up. But just to get a feel for things, and that's been kind of neat, because my office is kind of like a basketball museum, and there really isn't a place to watch the game in Cameron for me. I don't want to be a distraction, and I want to be supportive and give John and his staff space to develop the program that they're responsible for. They're responsible for the Duke basketball program right now.
You still have this office because you are not retired. You are still working very hard.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't call it hard. I'm busy doing really good things. Okay. And so my wife and I, we have lifetime contracts with Duke to be ambassadors for the school. But basically, we've been that, when we were coaching. And so we've kept the same office. Jerry Brown is still taking care of me. And we do a lot of things for people at Duke, people in Durham. We're here. Obviously, fundraising is a big thing, not just for our program or athletic department, but for the school. And it's hard to explain the immense amount of mail and requests that we get, that a lot of them we do, and how they interact then in continuing to do what we did, which helps everybody, including our university.
Why not just go golfing or go sit on a beach or go to Napa and drink wine?
Yeah, well, I don't golf, so there's not, but we live right next to the Duke Forest, and we got 14 acres of land. I got a puppy now. It's not a puppy. Coach is 11 months old. We got him at 8 pounds, 8 weeks, 8 pounds. He's 85 pounds now. And he's a heck of an athlete. He's a good guy. And I'd rather be outside. You know, when I retired, thinking of retirement and talking to people, one word came up a lot was to have purpose. Purpose. That when you get up in the morning, what's your purpose? For me, I'm not knocking anyone whose purpose is to play golf and do that. That's cool. That wouldn't be good for me. I have to have goals. I have to, I do a lot of speaking for the Washington Speakers Bureau. I've probably had 20 to 25 engagements since August all over the United States, and I like that. And it's interesting. I learned a lot. So if I'm speaking for a company, you have what they call content calls. It's a scouting report about 2-3 weeks before, and then you study the company and you talk about the event and where you are, and then boom, the event. And it's kind of like a game, and it's a performance, and I like that. I like it a lot, but I've learned a lot because I'm still studying leadership and teamwork. I'm not trying to figure out how to attack Boeheim's zone or somebody's press or think of the most intricate out-of-bounds play anymore. I don't think about any of those things. But I do think about teamwork, leadership, how to have people come together, how to transition from this COVID era that we've had, that a lot of companies were not together for 2 or 3 years, how you develop relationships again. It's incredibly interesting, and I've loved that.
And really similar talents that you already have, so it's just using them in a different way.
Yeah, so many things you do in sport is similar to what you would do in business, and basically you want to get people together to use their talents, to optimally use their talents to accomplish a goal. But the key thing with that is where they would want to do it again. A lot of times people define leadership the way I just did, but I add the thing, well, I can be a dictator and make you do it, but you never want to do it again. If we can do it in a way where we want to do it again and have learned from that, then that's leadership that leads to growth. And that's the best kind.
On our next episode, part 2 of my conversation with Mike Krzyzewski, he tells me about his last game in Cameron, the unforgettable 2022 Final Four, and getting so close to that championship game. Don't miss it. Thanks for listening to the WRAL Daily Download and making us part of your morning routine. Another great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. It's a daily email that's waiting in your inbox every morning with Triangle news, events, and headlines to get you ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.